Hey, what's going on? Tripp Kramer here from trippadvice.com. On today's video, let's talk about conversation tips, okay? How do you be more interesting in conversation? How do you make conversation go longer? Here's the thing you have to understand. If you're able to hold a conversation and make it go longer, what happens is the woman becomes more invested in you because she's spending more time with you. So for example, let's say that you end up going and approaching a woman at a grocery store or maybe a bar, wherever, and you're talking to her. A 2-minute conversation versus a 7 to 10 minute conversation, there's going to be a big difference there in investment. When you are with a woman longer, like I just said, she becomes more invested in you because she is spending more time with you, and it takes more time for her to recognize that you are someone who is attractive because she needs that time to recognize who you are as a person and your personality, okay? Of course, looks do help, but if you're going over there and even the best looking guy in the world, but your conversation skills suck, she is most likely going to reject you. She doesn't want to be around creepy, weird guys. So you have to understand how to continue a conversation and how to make it interesting. And I'm going to be giving you some really cool stuff, some practical, actionable tips that you can do literally now, okay? And you can get better and more interesting at conversation, boom, overnight. And if you want more flirting tips, so how to enter flirting into the equation, because you don't want to just have an interesting conversation, you want to add some flirting in there, well, you're going to want to check out my Hooked program at getherhooked.com. There's a whole module in that course all about flirting. It's called Effortless Flirting. That way you can be good at conversation with being able to be a little bit more seductive. So I'll put a link down below. Also, I want to tell you a quick story so you can really understand why this is so powerful. I remember 10 years ago, literally 10 years ago from today, I was on a trip. It's a free trip that you get if you are Jewish. It's called Birthright. And if you're 18 to 26 years old, you get to go to Israel for free for 10 days. So I remember going, and I remember on that trip, there's like 40 people in your group. And everyone is different, right? All different kinds of personalities, people from different walks of life. And I remember I came back from that trip and I was like, wow, I was really able to connect with everyone there. I'm not saying that I was the most popular there or that I even made friends with every single person, but I remember talking to everyone, and almost everyone I had a conversation with was a pretty good conversation. Men, women, everyone. And I thought, why was that so easy? Why was I able to connect with everyone so easy? And this kind of blew my mind because I was not always that way. And I remember the reason why it was is because I was reading more. I was looking at headlines a lot on the news. I was always scouring the internet for interesting stuff, just stuff for me that I was interested in. I felt like I had a lot of knowledge and wisdom and information that allowed me to connect with all different kinds of people. Okay, so in this group, it's funny, it kind of was like high school. Like you get there and all of a sudden everyone found their people. Like the nerdy guys were kind of hanging out together, and then the more basic girls were hanging out together, and some of the more hipster people, that was like the group I was in, were hanging out together. And so everyone kind of formed these groups. But I remember bouncing around to all these different people and having really interesting conversations. And that was because I had a lot of information and wisdom and things that I was saying that I was able to connect with people on. I'm being a little bit repetitive, but that's what I'm going to be teaching you today. Here's my first tip for you. So what you can do is you can start reading headlines on the news every single day. And this is so easy. Go to any one news site, whatever you want, okay? CNN, Fox, MSNBC, whatever. Just read all the headlines. Just read all the headlines and know what's going on, okay? One thing I do is on my phone, and maybe this is a little distracting, but I do it, is I have notifications of headlines that come up. So for example, today I learned that Tiger Woods got in a car crash, all right? And hopefully he's fine, I'm not really sure. But he got in a car crash and all of a sudden all these headlines came up. I don't really read the news that often, and I probably wouldn't have known that unless a friend told me, maybe I saw it in social media. So it's good to just know what's going on. And you can get quick information by just reading headlines. You don't have to sit there and read all these news articles and all this stuff. Just get quick headlines, go to a page once a day and just see what's going on just by reading the headlines. That's tip number one. Next, this is a very specific one. There's a really cool subreddit, if you know the website Reddit, called Today I Learned, okay? Maybe you know what I'm talking about. So today I learned. So it's reddit.com/r/today I learned. And all of a sudden, when you go there, you see all these posts. And by the way, there's probably tens of thousands of posts on this thing, people posting every day, of very interesting random stuff that people have learned that you might have never heard about ever. Okay, so very good place to just kind of get brushed up on some topics. This is all going to lead somewhere in just a second, so stay with me. That's the second one. The third one is I want you to be reading all the time. It's good to be reading all the time. So maybe that's easy for you and you know that you're already doing it, or you have some books that you're interested in, or you bought 20 books and you haven't even dived in yet. It's kind of like me. I buy a lot of books and then some I leave and some I read. And if that's not the case, a little tip for you is this. Just go to the bestseller list and then go through there and find a bestseller that's interesting to you. It could be fiction, nonfiction, whatever. But always reading a book, always having something that you're reading and that you're just learning from or just gathering any kind of interest from, if it's some sort of fiction novel, is really good. So combining all this stuff, you're looking at headlines, you're going on a cool subreddit like Today I Learned to learn some new stuff, and then you're reading a book to even learn more things. All this combined, if you do this, and it's not that hard, right? Some easy tips there, you are going to have a lot of information in your head. And what this is going to do is it's going to make conversation easy to continue. So what happens is you end up talking to people, you end up approaching girls, and when you're talking to them, little words might come up, little things might come up that might remind you of something that you learned, something that you know, something that you are reading about, something that came up in a headline that you can just say in conversation. And it's pretty cool because when you have all this stuff, it's easy to talk to anyone. So another benefit of this is not just talking to women, but talking to anyone, networking. So this goes beyond small talk because this is information that might be interesting to you, which then could be interesting to the person you're talking to and make conversation more interesting, which makes the conversation go on longer and can actually make a woman more attracted to you. Here's a little breakdown for you. If you're like, okay, that was a lot. Like, what do I do with all this? It's very simple. So what you can do tonight, if you have 10 minutes, and here's what I'll do. I want you to write down below, I did the 10 minutes, exclamation point. And hopefully you really did it. So I want to see over 300 at least comments that say, I did the 10 minutes. And people are going to be like, what's going on? Why is it saying that? Okay. So here's the 10 minutes you're going to do. 3 minutes, read headlines. That's actually quite a long time too. You don't even need that much, but either way. 3 minutes, just go on any news site, read a bunch of headlines. You're going to do this tonight. That's 3 minutes. Another 3 minutes, you're going to go through Amazon, pick a bestseller, buy it, okay? That should also sometimes only take like a minute, but you might be searching through and want to find something that you really like and you know you're going to read. That's 3 minutes. So we have 4 minutes left. I want you to go to Today I Learned on Reddit, okay? Reddit.com/r/Today I Learned. Go there and just for 3 to 4 minutes, read some of the cool stuff. And this is all going to be fun for you. It's going to be interesting, especially on that website, okay? Do that. That's what you can do with this material. And you can even make this into a habit, okay, of reading every day, looking at the headlines every day, and looking at Today I Learned, or a bunch of other subreddits. Reddit is just full of really interesting, cool stuff, but I always want to give you one that's really specific that you can actually use. If you keep up with this, and this is one thing to look out for, you got to make sure you keep up with this. If you do, your conversations are going to go to another level. I know that sounds like really like magical, and is that really true? And I'm still shy. That's okay. Get my Hooked program, which is going to teach you how to not be so shy and be even better at conversation, because I have more conversation tips in there. But either way, this is going to be a great tool in your arsenal that's going to help general conversation altogether. I hope that helps. If you did the 10 minutes, write it down below. Check out the Hooked program for more help. I hope this video helped, and I'll see you on the next one.